Hey guys, here I am, part 3 of life thoughts from the Vineyard, just sharing my story. So if you hadn't heard the other parts, going back, listen to them. But I'm just going to get straight to it. So where we were, I am now out of ministry, and I'm working in a grocery store. I'm after two things: time and money. Time to where I can do ministry the way that I feel like God called me to do ministry, relationally. But then money to be able to keep my family afloat, and then to fund the ministry. So I got a job in a grocery store, and everybody thought I was crazy. God taught me some lessons, and that's how I ended the video. I'm going to go to those lessons in just a moment, but let me just say this. I had a couple families meeting in my home on Sundays, and then I worked a regular job, and I thought, you know what, it's going to make me a better pastor, because I want to know what everyone, the normal person, goes through every day. And I'm going to continue to walk with these folks. I had more questions than I had answers. When you start looking at ministry and the gospel and the mission of God, if you will. But I knew some of what it wasn't, and I knew some of what it was. And so I was trying to lead those families, and I carried a big burden that I didn't see until later, and just its impacts on me, just as a shepherd. I have a shepherd's heart. And I did the best I could, but I was burdened, carrying those families, and I felt responsible for them, which impacted me, for sure. But in that grocery store, like I said, basically it ended up I couldn't have time and money, the two things that I was after. But God met me there, and He taught me just a wonderful, wonderful lesson that changed my life. Because here I was, Pastor JR, and everyone knowing me as Pastor JR, lines waiting to talk to me, my degrees on the wall, things like that. And God stripped me, right, of all those things. He essentially peeled back all those layers, and He met me in the aisle, stocking shelves. And He asked me this question: JR, if it was just me and you for the rest of your life, and you were in this grocery store and no one knew who you were, right? You don't have your degrees, you don't have your titles, none of that stuff. I want you to answer this question, and that is, am I enough? And if I was honest, the answer to the question was no, God, you are not enough. And I struggled. I was beat up. I was worn out, just trying to make a foundation, for my family. And God met me there. And over months, I just wrestled with God. And finally, I came to a point to where it's like, okay, God, like, I surrender. If it's just me here, and nobody knows my name, and I'm under there, getting all the blackberries, the crushed blackberries that someone spilled, people standing over me, like I was invisible. If God, I'm invisible for the rest of my life, but I have you, God, you're enough. And God met me there. And He said, you know what, JR, that's awesome, man, because I've given you a bride. Can you love her well, right? Can you serve her? Can you love her like Jesus, right? And I was like, oh, well, geez, I guess I can try this, And so I began that journey, just in my marriage, and trying to love my wife well. And then God said, well, great. Well, I've given you kids. Can you show them what a Jesus daddy looks like, Can you love them sacrificially and serve them? And man, it was a tough season, but God had taken that onion, ripped it to its core, me and Him, and then He started adding those layers back to my life. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful season, even though it was the hardest season of my doggone life. So I left there and went to the bank. Because I thought, you know what, Regions Bank, hey, banking hours, man, this is going to be great. I'll have the time. The only problem is at the bank, they don't pay you jack, right? So I thought, well, they're not paying me because I came out of ministry. I don't have the resume. So I will prove myself, and then they'll pay me. So next video, we're going to pick up with the bank.